We continue together on page 527. We have turned aside from your mitzvot, from the laws which point us towards the good, and no good has come to our misdeeds. Yet you do justly with everyone who comes before you, for you have acted out of truth, while we too often have acted falsely. We continue with the Al-Ches.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון.
For the wrong we did before you under coercion or of our own free will, and for the wrong we did before you by hardening our hearts. For the wrong we did before you unintentionally, and for the wrong we did before you through idle talk and meaningless resolutions. For the wrong we did before you by using sex exploitatively, and for the wrong we did before you in public and in private. For the wrong we did before you knowingly and deceptively, and for the wrong we did before you by offensive language. For the wrong we did before you by oppressing another person, and for the wrong we did before you by malicious thoughts. For the wrong we did before you by promiscuity, and for the wrong we did before you by confessing insincerely. For the wrong we did before you by contempt for parents and teachers, and for the wrong we did before you by violence. For the wrong we did before you by failing to be true to our heritage, thus defaming your name in the world, and for the wrong we did before you with ugly language.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot salach lanu mechal lanu kaver lanu al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechachas ubechazab ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechaphat shochad.
For the wrong we did before you by lying and deceiving, and for the wrong we did before you by accepting bribes. For the wrong we did before you by scoffing and mocking. For the wrong we did before you by speaking ill of other people. For the wrong we did before you in our work, and for the wrong we did before you in the foods we eat and the amount we drink. For the wrong we did before you by refusing to be generous, and for the wrong we did before you by being proud and haughty. For the wrong we did before you in rejecting your authority, and for the wrong we did before you in making harsh judgments on other people.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot salach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzidiat re'ah ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin.
For the wrong we did before you by plotting against others, and for the wrong we did before you by tormenting others. For the wrong we did before you by dismissing serious matters with a joke, and for the wrong we did before you by being obstinate. For the wrong we did before you by running to do evil, and for the wrong we did before you by gossiping. For the wrong we did before you by swearing falsely, and for the wrong we did before you by hating others without cause. For the wrong we did before you by betraying a trust, and for the wrong we did before you out of confusion, unaware of the significance of our actions.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot salach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot salach lanu mechal lanu salach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu Yikadal ve'yikadal Rabba, Yamadi Barachirte, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon, U'v'yomechon, U'v'chayechon Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Bisman Koriva, V'yimru Amen, Yehesh Me'rabba Mevorach Le'olamo Me'omaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yinaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitaleh, Shemei Kudusha Barechu, Leila, Leila, Mikol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nekamata, Damiram Me'alama, V'yimaru Amen. Tikabel Tzalaton U'Ba'oton, L'chol Yisrael, Padama V'hundi V'shmaya, V'yimaru Amen. Yehi Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimaru Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'yimromav, U'ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimaru Amen.
We continue together on the top of page 533, beginning the Ne'ilah service, the concluding service, the last service before we blow the shofar and conclude Yom Kippur Day. Imagine, if you will, we are in a great room, and in front of us are enormous, intricate gates. So high we cannot see the top of them, so wide we cannot tell where they begin or end. And these are our gates. These gates actually are open for us. These tremendous gates, the gates of heaven, the gates of forgiveness, the gates to the book of life. All these gates, these are open to us if we are ready, if we are prepared. Are we prepared to take responsibility for our words and our actions? Are we prepared to take responsibility for our responses to others' words and actions? Are we prepared to take responsibility for our life? Instead of pointing to others, instead of saying, if only, now is the time. The gates are open, but they are closing as we begin our Ne'ilah service.
Pituli Sharei Tzedek Avov Amodeya, Pituli Sharei Tzedek Avov Amodeya.
We continue together to page 537. The Piyut El Nora Alilah pleads to be forgiven, pleads to be allowed to enter, pleads while the gates are still open.
El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Hamselanu Mechila, Bisha'ata Ne'ila, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Mete Mispar Keruim, Chayin Noseim, Mesadim Bechila, Bisha'ata Ne'ila, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, שופטים לך נעשם, לכן נשם וחכשם, המציאי מחילה, בשעת הנעילה, אל נורא עלילה, אל נורא עלילה, היה להם לסתרה, וחלצני מארה, וחמתם להוד ולגילה, בשעת הנעילה, אל נורא עלילה, אל נורא עלילה, Chon otam verachem v'chalochet velochem aseh bahem helila b'she'at ha'ne'ila el nora alila el nora alila zachor tzidkat avihem chadesh et yemehem kekedem utechila b'she'at ha'ne'ila el nora alila El Nora Alila, Rana Shena Bratson, V'Hashiv She'erek Hatson, La Haliva Ve'ahala, Bisha'at HaNe'ila, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila.
Beautiful. We continue on the top of page 540. El Melech Yoshev. Thank you, Harley.
El Melech Yoshev, Melech Yoshev, Al Kisei Rachamim, Al Kisei Rachamim, Rachamim, Mitnaheg B'chasidut, Mochel Avonot Hamo, Mitnaheg B'chasidut, Mochel Avonot Hamo, Ma'avir Rishon, Ma'avir Rishon, Marbe Mechila, Mechila Lechatoim, Uslicha Laposhim, Laposhim, Uslicha Laposhim, Laposhim. Oseh tzedakot im kol basar v'ruach, lo keratam tigmol. Oseh tzedakot im kol basar v'ruach, lo keratam tigmol. El hareta lanu lo mashlosh esrei l'char lanu hayom brit shlosh esrei. El hareta lanu lo mashlosh esrei zachar lanu hayom brit shlosh esrei. Kamo shadat le'anav mikedem, kamo shadat le'anav mikedem, kamo shekatuv vayered Adonai be'anav vayitiatzei Imo Sham, Vayikra Vashem, Vayikra Vashem, Vashem Adonai. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed Le'alofim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata, V'Nahakeh, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed Le'alofim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata, V'Nahakeh, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed Le'alofim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata, V'Nahakeh.
We continue together at the top of page 542.
וסלחת לעווננו, לחטאתנו, ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, וחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב, וסלח ברב חסד לכל קוראיך.
We continue on the top of page 543 with Ki Anu Amacha, the beautiful, beautiful piyut that explores how we are partners with our Creator.
Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu, anu v'amecha ve'ata avinu, anu avadecha ve'ata Adoneinu, anu ke'alecha ve'ata chelkeinu, anu nachlatecha ve'ata goraleinu, anu tzonecha ve'ata roreinu, anu karnecha ve'ata nodreinu, anu filatecha ve'ata yotreinu, anu rayatecha ve'ata dodeinu, anu segulatecha ve'ata kerobeinu, anu amecha ve'ata malkeinu, anu ma'amirecha ve'ata ma'amireinu.
We continue together on page 545, the Yashamnu, the final confession for the day. This is it. This is the time. This is the moment. Gather up all your thoughts. Gather up all those pieces of paper perhaps that you've written. These are the things I promise for the new year, or perhaps a list of these are the things I release into the past. Gather them all together. Now is the time for the final confession.
Adonai, Anu, Baganu, Gazanu, Tibarnu Dozi, I da 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 da, Evinu, Virshanu, Zadnu, Hamastu, Tafalu Sheker, I da 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 da, Yatsu Ra, Kizavnu, Latsu, Maranu, Nihatsu, Sararnu, Avinu, Hashanu, Sararnu, Kishilu, Orev. I da 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 da, Rashanu, Shichanu, Tiavnu, Tahinu, Tihitanu.
We continue together on page 548. What are we? Of what value is our life? You have shown us the answer. Human beings are precious to you. You singled us out at the beginning of all creation, even though the righteous cannot give you anything which is not yours already. You have given something irreplaceable to us, this day of atonement, soon to conclude with your pardon for all our wrongs, enabling us to stop hurting other people, to start turning to you, doing your will with hearts undivided, knowing you will respond out of your great compassion, with compassion for each one of us. What are we? We are the recipients of your love. What is our goodness? It is the goodness you see in each of us. I do not want you to die in your wrongdoing, you have told us. Do teshuvah that you may live. We continue with the Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have done wrong before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have no sovereign except you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, let this be a good year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu, Afer Atzat Oevenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, destroy the power of every oppressor and adversary.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever Becher Berav, Ushavi Umashki Te'avon Ibnei Beritecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, remove from all your children disease, war, famine, exile, destruction, and iniquity.
Avinu Malkeinu, Salach L'Machol L'Chol Avoneinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, forgive and pardon all our iniquities.
Avinu Malkeinu, Hachzirenu B'Tshuvah Shlema Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, may we return to you in earnest repentance.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shlach Refuah Shalema L'Chol HaCholim.
Avinu Malkeinu, send healing to all who are ill.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadmenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in your book for a life of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatmenu B'Sefer Parnasa V'Chalkala.
Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of sustenance.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatmenu B'Sefer Zechuyot.
Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of meritorious acts.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadmenu B'Sefer Selicha U'Mechila.
Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of forgiveness and reconciliation.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Aleinu Ve'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, show mercy to us and to our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, Petach Sha'arei Shamayim L'Tfilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, open the gates of heaven to our prayer.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh leman ba'esh, u'b'mayim al kiddush shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, do it for the sake of those who went through fire and water to honor your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Adonai Hu HaElohim. 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 Yikara Yikara Shebei Rabbah. Be'alma Divrach Yirtei Be'amlech Malchutei. V'chayechon Be'amechon V'chay L'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala V'bizman Kori V'yimeru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach. Le'olam Le'ol Le'omaya. Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitbar V'Ramah V'Yitnasei. Yitadar V'Yitoleh V'Yitoleh Shavei Kudusha B'Richu. Le'ela Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata. V'Shbechata V'Nechamata Dam Yiram V'Yalma V'Yimeru. Amen. Titgabel Tzalatot V'Atan L'Chol Beit Yisrael. Adama V'Hundi V'Shmaya V'Yimeru. Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim. Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimeru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramav U'Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru.
Amen.
The final sounding of the shofar, the signal that our prayers have been received and accepted. L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, and Tekiah Gedola.
Shana Haba'ah Yerushalayim.
Next year in Jerusalem, may we all be healthy and happy in the new year. Wait. Now you can turn it off.